So as I always try to say at the beginning of these types of videos where I'm talking about, people no longer being vegan, I'm not here to tell them to stop eating animal products. I'm not here to tell them to stop eating animal products. I'm not here to tell them to stop eating animal products. Look, I know that veganism can be really hard for a lot of people. The problem is not with them no longer being vegan. The problem is not with them no longer being vegan.
We're supplementing with some organ meats, some eggs, some ghee. Sardines, ghee, yeah. Swagger.
I'm not here to tell them to stop eating animal products. The idea that this can be ethical is just wrong, no matter how well the animals were treated while they were alive. The problem is not with them no longer being vegan.
A lot of young women that want to have a baby and think that that's
have a vegan pregnancy, have a vegan family.
Works for everybody, and it doesn't necessarily.
It doesn't.
The second thing is that I was watching this live video with him and his wife like a few years ago, and someone in the chat box said something about activism, and they both like looked at each other and did this like cringy like inwards like smile or smirk, and they were like, no, we're not activists. And I was thinking like, wow, like maybe you're not an animal rights activist, but is there literally nothing that you have no message that you stand for enough in life that you would call yourself an activist?
This is a good example of, I guess, over the last couple of years, why I've become more in favor of the idea that if you are going to be pregnant and vegan, if you are going to feed a child and be vegan, you need counseling. The vast majority of us need to go see an RD. We need help doing this because so many of us do not know what we're doing. And when you are inflicting that on a child, it's one thing to do it to yourself, which is awful enough, but to do it to another person is just terrible. And you think I would have, softened my stance on that since like having a kid and being pregnant, because I haven't had any problems being vegan doing that. But I think part of just being an adult is realizing that other people have different lifestyles and different knowledge than you have. And obviously we are not the norm. The way that we live, even in terms of just like, my work and everything, right? And the knowledge that both of us have is very different from the average person, even from the average vegan. I think it would be really dangerous for me to expect that every parent is just fully capable of feeding their child vegan. I'm not here to tell them to stop eating animal products.
Rather than telling you what I would say about Moon and Rock, here I'll tell you what it is that I said to them. Dude, you pay people to kill animals so that you can eat the pieces of their chopped up bodies. You buy milk butter, ghee, that's produced by cows living their whole lives on a concrete floor under a steel shed in constant misery until the day they die. I used to be a Buddhist, and I was both a scholar and a preacher. I know what it is to be holy, quote-unquote holy, and I know what it is to be perceived as holy in a religious context. It's easy to be holy. It's also easy to be wrong. Guys, you can probably guess, I would have become vegan earlier in life if I hadn't been a member of a mass organized religion that to some extent did valorize drinking cow milk, that normalized it, that justified it, that depicted the Buddha himself eating cow milk, curds, and yogurt. Sure, I know that these people are trying in their way to be religious leaders, or at least religious followers. But it doesn't really matter if you use religion as an excuse for something. What you need to do is examine why it is that you're making excuses in the first place.